Hey, it's Rachel with Rachel Kohler Dog Training, and I'm here with Susan with Pack Leader Dog Training, and we're here for our weekly Q&A. I'm still virtual because Susan is home, obviously, and I'm still here in Rhode Island. Um,
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and dive right in. So my first question we have is, my 15-week-old German Shepherd nips at my hands a lot. Can I expect that to go away with time?
so that's going to depend on what are you doing about it. So I like to say, with puppies, is that you're raising a dog, not a puppy, but work is going to go into that. So I wouldn't expect it to just stop when it's own. Um, I mean, some people might say it's teething, this, that, or the other, but unless you explain to this puppy by correcting it that you don't want it nipping on you, you don't want it biting you, then I wouldn't hold my breath and wait for it to just go away.
Yeah, no, that's great because I like how you said, what are you doing about it? That's exactly right. So there was somebody, I don't know if it was a friend or somebody, but they had an adult dog. So they must not have corrected it when it was younger, and it would still come up to people and like mouth them. And they're like,
Mm.
she's not biting, she's just mouthing. I'm like, okay, but she's like two,
She's putting
so
her mouth on me, so.
yeah. No, but that's great. Yeah. So I would say the same thing is just, you need to correct it. So
And
a lot of people will say redirect it onto a toy. Um, Redirecting, you're rewarding. So every time this puppy bites a person, here's a toy. So the thing that's missing is a correction. Puppy nips you, you correct it, and then you can offer it something that it's able to chew on as an alternative.
and with the correcting it, with puppies nipping specifically, I always like to give this little piece of advice or this trick that I do because when I was back at the kennel, I specialized in puppies. So I got this question a lot because that's what puppies do. I think we talked about this in the Q&A before, but I'm not sure. But you just shove your hand into the puppy's mouth more, um, because it's like, oh, when I bite the human, it's not fun because I get like a hand shoved in my mouth,
Mm-hmm.
and then they learn to stop biting you. So yes, if you do that consistently, if you correct that behavior, you can expect it to stop because the puppy's going to learn that that's no fun for anyone.
Right.
All right, you ready for the next one?
Ready.
Another puppy question. Is this puppy season?
Cool.
um
Yeah, we're getting puppies.
yeah, right. I've had my puppy for a week. Potty training is going awful. What can I do?
So with puppies, what's going to help you a lot, no matter what issue you're having, is structure, but specifically for potty training. So are you crate training the puppy? How much structure do you have? And what structure means is they're in the crate, you take them out, and then you do like their commands, let them go outside to go potty, bring them inside. They're not just free roaming in the house because puppies are like toddlers, so I wouldn't just let my toddler run off into another room. So I'm going to have my puppy with me, have my eyes on it, and I just find that structure really helps because they're going to find a spot to go potty in if you don't keep your eyes on them and like hold them accountable. So structure is my biggest tip for that one.
Yeah, and I really like what you said about puppies are like toddlers. You wouldn't just let your toddler go run out into the other room. I've not heard that. Like, I obviously that's a tip I give with a lot of structures for puppies. But I just really like that you said it like that because I think a lot of times people get puppies and they want them to explore and
Yeah.
roam the house and make themselves at home. But it's like a kid couldn't do that. They could get hurt. They could like so many different things. Or I really
Yeah.
like that comment you made. Um, but as far as the potty training, that's my main tip too, is just have a good schedule when you take them out on leash to go to the bathroom. If they don't potty, then they're going to go back to the crate for a minute and then try to take them potty again on leash. And then you'll just kind of do that in the cycle until they potty. Then you can reward them and then you can play. But you don't want to like let them out of the crate and immediately start playing, um, because they're not going to be thinking about going to the bathroom. They're going to just be playing with you. And then you're going to put them back in the crate and they're going to like back in the crate, or you're going to come back inside and they're going to be tired from playing, and they're going to like, oh yeah, I have to go to the bathroom now. And then that's when accidents usually, in my experience, happen.
Mhm.
So you just want to make sure you want to make sure they empty their bladder and everything before you do any playtime with them. So,
Yeah. And one thing we didn't hit on this time was monitoring their food and water as well.
mm,
So, like with the puppy I had, she had a really good schedule. With her age, she was able to be in the crate for about 5 hours. So when she's in the crate, um, once she's done being in the crate, I'd let her out. She immediately goes outside to go potty. We come inside, we train, and I use her daily food for training. So she's only eating during that period that I'm training her, and then she's only drinking during that period of time. So the structure is going to help with potty training that way, is because when she's on a schedule eating and drinking, she'll be on a schedule for potty as well, with how digestion works. Whereas if you didn't have so much structure, the puppy's eating throughout the whole day, so you'd really have a hard time keeping track of when she's going to go potty.
mm. Yeah, that's a good point. And like quick side note, I just like feeding schedules anyways, because like this, I don't know why this like I don't like it a lot. Free feeding is not super great for your dog, and Susan, you can probably relate to this. If you take your dog to the vet, they want to know when was the last time they ate,
Yeah,
went to the bathroom, drank, and it's like, oh, I don't know, I just have food left out all day.
right.
You don't know when or what or if your dog's eating.
Well, it really helps for when the animal is sick too,
Mhm,
because when you go to the vet, like you said, so not just like a routine visit, but
mhm.
it's really important if your pet is sick. When you go to the vet, they're going to say, well, did they eat breakfast? And you'd say, I don't know, because the food's always out. So it is really important for those situations to know like potty schedule and like feeding schedule. So you make a good point.
I know that was super off topic, but it's like I like schedules for feeding. I think it's your question.
All right. What is the easiest breed to train?
Easy answer. The easiest breed to train is a stuffed animal. You go out to your pet store, like they even have like stuffed animals there. Like you can dog toy stuffed animal. You can go down to just any store, get a cute little stuffed animal. They know a really great stay. They come house trained and they don't bark. Um, so
That's
that was a
perfect.
yeah,
Yeah.
very smart aleck answer. Um, I don't know. So I have like really mixed feelings about this. So obviously each breed has their traits, they have their genetics. Um, but it's also really going to depend on the dog themselves. And like Susan, you might have a different answer, but it's like, yes, obviously like genetics are serious, they're real, they affect the dog. But like each dog has their own personality. So I've met hounds that want to learn and that want to please. And then I've met hounds like my family dog who just doesn't care. Same with even the higher drive dogs. I've met a Mal who was going 10,000 miles an hour constantly. Kind of easy to train because he wants to learn. But then
Right.
I've also met a Mal who just kind of is chill, doesn't really care about training and just wants to exist with you. Super rare for a Mal, but still. Um, it really depends on the dog's personality. Susan, what do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't actually pick a breed. There are certain breeds that I might say, they're prone to be maybe a little bit more challenging because it's harder to motivate them,
Mhm.
if you had to stereotype them. But yeah, like you said, there's many different variations of temperaments within a breed, just like there is with people. So sometimes you'll get like a really nice, easy golden retriever, and other times you'll get one that really doesn't care about food. They don't really want to play. So you have to be kind of creative with their motivation, because
Mhm.
that's the key to training, is like you want to motivate them to want to train. And so if you have a dog that that don't really have easy motivators, then that's the challenging part. So yeah, I wouldn't pick a breed besides, like, Malinois are known to be crazy fools. So if you're a first time dog owner, I might say maybe you want to shy away from that. But that being said, my first dog was a Mal mix, so,
And she's perfect.
and she's perfect. That's fine. But yeah, when I first got her, she was a fool, a crazy fool, and it took me years because I was learning. So it took me years to get her to where she is, but that's just because I didn't really know what I was doing
Yeah.
at the
So I
time.
mean, definitely when you're getting a dog, do your research and be aware of that. But just know you're not going to be guaranteed. So if you get a golden, if you get a doodle, they're not going to be right off the bat that perfect dog that you see in the movies. Like they
right? Like,
still are going to need their work. Now I haven't, like very rarely, like a few people get like super lucky, but it's like not many people get lucky like that. So it's like when you are doing your research to get a dog, you want to think about your lifestyle. Um, and you just want to kind of go in assuming that you're going to have to train the dog. You're going to have to do the work. They don't come to you most of the time perfectly behaved.
right. I was just gonna say one of the first few clients I guess I had, the dog that they had that was having aggression issues, like if you try to pet him, he'd bite you. He was a golden doodle. So, just because don't get hung up on the breed, like Rachel said, like do your research. This breed is known for these traits, so be prepared for that. But don't go into it thinking like that is my dog, because they're still individuals.
Mhm.
So
Definitely. All right. So my dog is scared of the car. She whines, barks, and jumps everywhere. How do I fix that?
okay. So my recommendation, well, first of all, how is she in the house before we even think about the car? Because it's kind of unfair to have a dog that's just loose in the house and like has no rules and then expect them to be kind of fine in the car. I think people just do that. Like they expect their dog to be good outside of the house. Well, how's your dog inside of the house? So that would be my first
Right.
question. But if you just want to work on the car stuff, I would have your dog know a really good down. So teach them a good down so they have to just lay down and be calm. And then we'd work on that in the car. So yeah, you're nervous about the car, but you're gonna down. If they break, then you can correct that. So you're not correcting for them being anxious in the car. You're correcting them for breaking a down. And a down is just like the calmest position a dog can be in. So I would just have them down in the car
Mhm.
and go from there. And then you could even do like short trips and then build up duration, so maybe have the dog in the car 5 minutes and then increase that with time. Um, but I think down will really help you.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And then just I like what you said about doing short trips. Usually, like I'll do something really similar when I'm working with the dog who doesn't like the car. Depending on like how much the dog doesn't like the car, the first couple sessions or the first session might just be downing in a parked car.
All right, next. Why does my dog jump on my parents, but not on my husband or I?
So that's a good question. And it makes me think of something like really important and something I see a lot, and that's like a relationship issue. Um, and it's funny because I was just talking to another trainer about this today. As dog trainers, I think that's one of the biggest things, or at least me personally, one of the biggest challenges maybe I see when dogs go back to the owners, is it's all about that relationship. So from this little bit of knowledge I have about the situation, I'm going to do some assuming. I'm going to assume that you and your husband have corrected the dog for jumping on you before, or that y'all have a little bit more structure with him or her. Whereas your parents probably come over and they're the grandparents. They love on them, they play with them, they do all that fun stuff. So the dog doesn't respect them. So there's no relationship, or no, well, there's a relationship, but it's not one of structure and respect. So the dog doesn't have a problem bouncing all over them. Whereas with y'all, it's like, all right, like mom and dad are serious. Like I can't jump on them because I respect them, kind of.
Right. Yeah. Like consequences, right? So a lot of people, I'm assuming again, like they're the grandparents of the dog. And so they want to be the fun people, whereas the parents have to be the ones that provide structure. So when the grandparents come over, they probably encourage the dog to jump up. And then it's cute when they're little, not so much when they get bigger. And then they try to stop it, but you know, they've had so much,
So patterned.
yeah, the pattern behavior that the dog's like, well, what? This used to be a game before. What do we, why? I don't
Hmm.
understand. So yeah, there's a lot of relationship stuff there, like you said.
Hmm. Yeah, and just to fix that, you would just want to have your parents correct the dog for jumping if they don't want the dog to continue jumping on them. I, in my personal experience, like correcting jumping is one of the easiest things. Like it's you firmly correct for jumping because it can be dangerous. That's the way I view it. You can jump on a kid, you can jump on an older person, and you could hurt them. You could hurt me jumping on me. So I correct that pretty firmly from the beginning with the dog, and then I don't see that behavior anymore. I don't want to be jumped on.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. So yeah, is it my turn? I think so.
Yeah.
All right. So can I use a blanket or my dog's bed as their place?
So I don't know what other trainers feel, but yes, I start with them on those raised beds that you see us using, like the pet cots, because it's a definable surface. So it's easier to teach the dog that that's what place means because it's raised up
Mm-hmm.
and like they can tell the perimeters. Whereas if you used a blanket, it's all laying flat on the floor, and so the dog might not understand that concept. So I start training on that pet cot so it's elevated. And then after the dog understands place, I will transfer it to a regular bed. So I might like help them out a little bit more at first. If when I'm switching to the bed or like a blanket, I might just use my body language and be closer to the dog in the bed when I say place. But in my experience, I found that it transfers really easily to a bed or blanket. Usually I keep it to a bed, but if you're in a bind, you can use blanket.
Right. Yeah. So I feel very similar feelings to that. I like to start on the raised surface because, again, the boundaries. Um, like I do, and maybe this is personal, but I like it always to be on a raised surface. Now, it really doesn't have to be like it can be transferred to anything. But for owner's sake, I feel like with the raised surface, the dogs aren't going to be able to push them.
Yeah,
Again, with that relationship. So with me, the dog's not going to really push it. But if an owner goes and places the dog on a bed or a blanket and they're going to like slide off a little bit more, I'm going to like stretch my paws off. Um, they're just going to push it more and it could really water down the place command. Um, whereas with like a raised cot, you can't really do something like that or else you're just going to fall off the cot.
right.
Um, but that's just like my personal, like my thing. Like I include place cots in my training package
Mm-hmm.
just because I like the raised one so much. But yes, when I train it, it's theoretically speaking, it's always something the dog can go onto, not something the dog can go into. So it's not going to be a crate or anything like that. But yes, if you can go onto it and there are boundaries, it can be a place.
Yeah. All right. So next question. I've heard playing tug causes aggression. Is this true?
So no. In my experience,
I was
no, I was
thinking,
trying to think. I was like, I shouldn't maybe like answer definitely, but in my experience,
yeah.
um, no. Now, while playing unstructured tug could encourage like rowdy behavior. Like if your dog doesn't know an out command, like it could just get rowdy. Um, any aggression there would be like your dog's a resource guarder or things along that line, but it's not going to be caused by playing tug. I've never heard of that, anyways. I do always say with tug, have a solid out command um, because manners. I always like play to be kind of structured. We were doing some drills with the dog here today. We were playing fetch with her, but it was structured. It was like, all right, you're gonna go to place, and then we're gonna throw it, and then we're gonna release you. So I like to incorporate a lot of training and play. So while I don't think even rowdy tug that's unstructured, I don't think that'll cause aggression. But I definitely don't think a structured game of tug would do that. I don't even know that aggression can be caused. I think it's just like the dog, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing with the tug. That is something that I've heard other people bring up. And it's just not the case. Like, you're not causing your dog to become aggressive. So if you have an aggressive dog, don't blame yourself and like, oh, I played tug with it when it was a puppy. No. Like Rachel said, the only thing that really happens is they can get kind of out of hand, and then they might accidentally like bite you because they're like playing with the tug, bite your hand. Because that happened with the puppy that I had here. You know, she's playing tug, and really you can tell it's an accident because she would get to my hand, and then she lets go and goes
Like,
back
oh
to her
crap.
foot.
Right.
Yeah. Now it still hurts though, right? So just be cautious of that. But having, yeah, a good out command is perfect.
Yeah.
Which is why I did tug with her, because I wanted to teach her out.
Nice.
So
Smart. Yeah, structured play is a lot of fun. All right. I'm getting a dog soon, and I don't know if I want to crate train them or not. What should I do?
So I can't decide for you. But I can just tell you the benefits to crate training. Helps with potty training. If they are potty trained already, maybe you're not worried about that, but it really helps to hold them accountable. And actually, Brittany, one trainer I worked with, she said something really good. She said crate training is a life skill.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say your dog has to go to the vet and has to have surgery, stay overnight. They're always in a kennel. They're not going to be at the vet, hospital, out of the kennel. And I can tell you personally, working at a kennel, the dogs are miserable if they're not crate trained, because they're constantly trying to break out. We do have stainless steel crates at the vet hospital, so it's like you can't get out of here, but you could damage yourself, your teeth probably, to the point that we might have to sedate your dog because it can't settle down in the crate. We did have one run, so instead of a crate, it was like a big room, like the dog, it's big enough for the dog to it's like a big kennel, but it's just like a room. And the door was, of course, like a normal door, and dogs that had issues, they would tear the door, like literally like tore the door frame off of the door. So why would you want to make a stressful situation if your dog's there because it's sick or needs surgery? You're making that situation worse because your dog also can't be in a crate. So it's just like a nice life skill to have. But that's the veterinary side of it. Like, what are your thoughts on just like normal life
Yeah.
skill?
Side note, is one of your dogs in there chewing a toy?
Yes.
Very loud. I was like, am I hearing things?
No, she is.
Yes, I really like how you touched on the lifestyle thing, or a life skill. But like as like on the like owner side of things and like trainer side of things, I think it's really important for just safety reasons. Like if they're just out wandering, like who knows what they could get into. I've heard horror stories of dogs who were great, never had a problem in the house, got free roamed all day long, every day of their life, getting into something and dying. And it's awful. It's like to think that could be prevented by them just hanging out in a crate. Like they don't need to just free roam all the time, especially if
Right.
you're not there. And then my other thought was, even like aside from like the safety aspect of it, if your dog has like any anxiety or any sort of behavioral issues at all, I think the crate is really beneficial because if you train your dog to be calm in the crate, it's just like place. And I love place because it's just an off switch. So to take an anxious dog, a stressed out dog, whatever their issue might be, and to just say, you're going to go in your crate and just be calm. And I just think it's so great to have that off switch. Um, there's some dogs who like naturally love it. Family dog growing up, his bedtime was 10 o'clock. So literally he would like, if he was on the couch, he would wake up and put himself in the crate at 10.
Um,
And it's like, how do you know what time it is? That's super cute. So it's like he loved it. But even if he didn't love it or the next dog doesn't love it, I want to teach you to just be calm in there. I want to teach you how to exist and just be chill. So I think aside from all of the like keeping them safe or like practical stuff, like if you're having people over, if you have to travel, if you have to go to the vet, aside from all of that, just like teaching them to just be calm. It's pretty cool.
yes, well, Yeah, good. Okay, so last question on my end. I'm thinking of getting 2 puppies. Is it best to get 2 males, or 2 males, 2 females, or 1 of each?
So I'm going to be completely honest as I answer this question. Um, I kind of don't know, but I'm just going to like go with it for a minute. And Susan, correct me if you think I'm wrong or if you have different opinions. I feel like I want to give like a behind the scenes little comment. Usually Susan and I sit down and go over the questions and talk about everything. But somebody, Susan, thought it would be super cool to not do that today.
Yeah, to keep it like, come on, spontaneous, right?
No, you're right. You're right. And one day we'd like to do these live, so this is preparing for that. So I just took 5 of the questions I got. She took 5 of hers. So we haven't known. So this is the one that's going to throw me. All right. So getting 2 puppies. I know off the bat, a lot of trainers would probably suggest don't get 2 puppies. Just in general, just don't get 2 puppies. But I can relate from like an owner point of view. Like I can get why you would want that. So before I even hit on the male, female, whatever, I want to highly emphasize that you should 100% train them right off the bat and make sure you're putting a lot of individual training time in with each dog. You want to make sure you're crating them both separately because I've seen people crate their dogs together.
Yeah, it's weird.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Crate them separately, please. But you really want to make sure that these dogs don't become reliant on each other.
Yes.
A bonded pair. I've seen that a lot on
Yes.
like look at dogs. You want to make sure they're independent. You don't want to give them separation anxiety from each other, because then God forbid something happens to one of them, or one of them goes to the vet one day, or one of them goes to the groomer one day. The other's going to be a mess without them. So if you're going to get 2 puppies, be prepared for like 10 times the work. Train them right off the bat. Train them separately. Train them together. Keep them apart. That's my like 2 puppy tips. As far as if you should get 2 males or a male and a female, I don't know. I would be careful, like if you get a male and female, just to like make sure when they become of age, you keep them separated, especially if they're siblings. Which litter mates is a whole nother conversation. But we don't need any accidental breeding. I think there's enough of that happens. And I'm not really down for backyard breeders. So that's how I feel about that. So Susan, do you have a more educated answer for their actual question and not my rant about training 2 puppies separately?
It was good though. It was very informative. It was good.
Yeah.
So as far as like
rant.
the sexes go, so 2 males, 2 females, 1 of each. I would, if you could pick and you're worried about it, let's err on the side of caution and get 1 of each, so a male and a female. But then, like Rachel said, when they become of age, just make sure you get them spayed or neutered if you want to do that. Or if you don't want to spay or neuter them, then I would keep the female away from the male, because even like as early as 6 months, they can start showing interest in each other and they can be impregnated. So just be really, really careful there. I have seen in my experience that 2 females, when they're aggressive, can be some of the worst aggression cases. But that does not mean if you get 2 females that they will be aggressive with each other.
Right.
So, because I did work with a vet, that was his answer. When he would tell people, would ask or what have you, and he would say, yeah, 2 females are always like, don't get along. And then I was thinking in my head, I don't really agree with that, but I was in a vet setting, so I'm not going to say nothing.
Right.
And then he asked me, he's like, well, Susan, don't you have 2 females? And I'm like, yeah. They are litter mates. But he was making the broad statement that 2 female dogs in a household is not good. So even some shelters don't like, females being adopted into a female household with dogs. But I'm like, yeah, my 2 dogs are females and there's never been an issue ever at all. So just because you get 2 females doesn't mean, oh God, they're going to be aggressive. It's just if they do show aggression, it's been shown that like that is some of the worst cases of aggression. But if you're worried about it, I'd probably get a male and a female or 2 males. But
Yeah.
honestly, I wouldn't think twice about having two females in the same household.
Mhm. And like we were talking earlier with the breed, I think it kind of is the same thing. It's like, just like you were saying, just because there's two females doesn't mean it's going to be a problem. Just
Right.
because you get this type of dog, just because you get a golden doesn't mean they're going to be great. Um, and then, yeah, I've seen, watched like a lot of rescue shows growing up, dog rescue shows. And then I have heard like a lot of shelters and rescues say um, they won't adopt out a dog to a female household, like a female to a
Right.
female household. And that's like when this question was asked, I was like, I know I've heard that before, but I've never personally seen it. When I worked in the daycare, I knew plenty of families that had two female dogs. Um, so I think it really is just that dog's personality. And what it was
Right.
two puppies, right? When you're getting two puppies, you really don't know their
Yeah.
personality until they're older. Um, I always super encourage training in general, obviously, since I'm a dog trainer. But especially with puppies, I say start early. Really focus on all of the things I said in my rant I did a minute ago. But if you really focus on training them, not to say that their personality won't come out and not to say it won't be a problem later, but training could really help either prevent that or make it less severe if it happens, in my opinion, because then you
Yeah.
could just work on existence with them. Um,
Yeah.
so with two puppies, good luck.
I know. I was gonna say
Good luck.
God bless you.
Yeah, and I get the like thought process. You want them to like be friends and have each other, but we also have to remember the same thing for you getting two puppies. I'm gonna say the same thing that I'll say to a family with one dog. When we talked about socializing, I want my dog to have friends. So I want to get two dogs because I want them to be friends. So just because you're bringing two dogs into the same house doesn't mean they're going to be best friends.
Right.
The main goal still needs to be them existing. And if they bond and if they have their like connection, then that's great. But like I've had two dogs at one point growing up, and the one dog I think wanted to be friends with the other one, but like the hound, he didn't want to be friends. He just kind of wanted to exist together. So
Right.
just like don't forget that just because your dogs are living together doesn't mean that they're going to be, and doesn't mean that they have to be best friends and cuddling and playmates and all that great stuff.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point.
So yeah, good luck with your two puppies. Um, and for the last question of the night, are dogs born knowing how to swim? If not, how do you teach them?
I'm sure there's some dogs that they're just natural swimmers, genetics, their own curiosity. You know, if they get in the water, they're just going to take to it right away, just like people take to things right away. But how you would train that, I'm actually not. No, she wanted to come in.
I know, I wanted Gaia to come over here, but she's sleeping right now.
This is Ditu. So I know how we train swimming at the center. That's the only time I've trained. So when I was interning with Rachel up there in Rhode Island, like that's the only time I've had to make a dog swim, because my dog Sadie, she just jumped in. She just didn't have to do nothing. So I don't know what your experience is like. Is that the only way you would do it? How we did it up there?
So I'm the same as you. I've never had a dog swim before, like ever, like not even like a dog who wanted to swim. So this was the only thing I had seen. And so what that was, which I guess it wasn't really teaching the dog to swim. So I guess technically, I mean, I've not seen a dog sink. I could be wrong. But like technically, they know. We just have to like help them figure out that they can do it.
Right.
So what we did was a pressure on, pressure off. So it's basically just the dog walks towards the water, everything's great. But if they go to start backing up, like, nah, I'm not doing this, I'll just hold the leash so they can't back up. And then they're like, well, I can't go backwards, so let me go forwards. And then they walk forward and the pressure goes away. All it is again just leash pressure. So they walk forward into the water more, pressure goes away. Water's not so bad and I can't go backwards. And then they just usually kind of like flop into the water and swim.
And
now,
so
like some
in this scenario, you're actually in the water, right? and the dog like standing at the water. So you're not beside the dog, you're in the water.
Yeah.
And
Or
the dog is
technically, yeah, like it was like with this setting, like, you know, but I'll explain it better. Like with the pool, I'm on the opposite side of the pool of the dog. So the dog's here and there's a ramp coming down. I'm over here applying that pressure. So the pressure, since pressure, leash pressure is directional, the pressure is coming towards the pool. So the dog can't like back away from that pressure. And then I'm not pulling the dog, I'm not tugging them, I'm not like dragging them into the pool or anything like that, but it's just like, hey, you know, you can't back up and there's going to be this like light leash pressure until you come forward. And when you come forward, the pressure's gone. And I think Brittany, who you mentioned before, she says, you know, this helps the dog think it's like their idea to go into the water. I'm not going to push the dog in. I'm not throwing the dog in, which I have heard people just throw a dog in and that's how they swim, which is fine. But I'm not doing anything like that. It's like the dog's thinking, this is my idea. I turn off this leash pressure by walking forward, and then, oh, hey, the water's not that bad. Now, I will say there are some dogs who swim, what's the word? Not better, but like more gracefully.
Yes.
And then the dogs like don't know what they're doing and they like splash a bunch, but they get it done.
Yeah. They're
so
like
yeah,
not rear end aware. They don't know how to use their back end in the pool.
She's so cute. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I guess it's not that we teach them how to swim, because I don't say, hey dog, like do your little doggy paddle thing. I'm just like, hey, you can go into the pool, like you're okay.
Right.
Most of the dogs, it's funny, like watch the progress of like teaching a dog to swim. They usually start off like more hesitant, and then like 9 times out of 10 I've seen that like by the end of the first session the dog's just going into the water by themselves. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I have. Do you have anything else?
That's it. No, I don't. So I guess, you know, we're done for the day. It was a little bit shorter this time. No long rants.
I know I had a few little ones, but I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Next time I'll set a timer.
You're like, ding.
All right, you're ranting again.
Rants are good.
Yeah, just giving some information, giving my thoughts on some things.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're still enjoying these Q&As. This was our 4th one. Keep asking questions. Again, you can give us your questions anyway. I've had people message me on Facebook. You can comment. You can send us DMs on Instagram. Anywhere you can find us. If you put the comment out there, we'll see it. And we want to answer your questions.
Yeah, so reach out on any platform, really.
Right. Social media. You can do a lot with it.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your night.
You too.